So I'm Michael.
I'm Ali from
Barbenders.
Athletes should really be like the center of attention in these competitions, and we tried to make this competition for them before making it for anybody else. Of course, you need to accept you can't make everybody happy. It's the sad truth, you know?
We used for the first time Vplay. The judges, they get a tablet or like a big screen in which they can replay every battle. And I think for the statics it's nice to use, but for freestyle it will be even better.
Actually, there's one big topic right now which I think is one of the most important next steps, which is weight classes.
Yeah, man. Because if we wouldn't do that, at the end of the day, you'll have like the classic body type that will always win the competition.
Today we have a very special episode for you because we invited Barbenders Belgium and we talked with Ali and Misha. We discussed topics like the Barbenders Static Cup, and also we talked about calisthenics being a spectator sport. We also discussed judging, weight classes and the overall structure of the sport. So let's get into it. Hello, my name is Mattelaer for Calisthenics Worldwide, and today we have a very special guest for you. In this podcast, we try to create a platform for people who are important for the calisthenics scene, like for instance, coaches, like athletes, but also competition organizers. And in this case, we have a guest from Barbenders from Belgium. We recently visited their competition, which was the Barbenders Static Cup in Mattelaer in Belgium. So this time we are interviewing Ali. So welcome, Ali, and tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi Jelle, thanks for the invite. It's really nice to be here, and it's really nice that you guys were at the Static Cup. So I'm Ali from Barbenders, and I joined Barbenders Belgium. It's been like a year and a half ago. So now I'm working there as like I'm in charge of everything related to collaborations, communications, and this kind of stuff. And so for the past couple of months, you and I were very much in touch for the big preparations for the Static Cup that happened on the 18th of February. So in Mattelaer, like you said. And so with Barbenders Belgium, it's been 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, that this association exists in Belgium.
Right.
And we present ourselves as like the representative of the calisthenics community in Belgium. And our main goal is to grow the calisthenics community and sport in Belgium.
Right.
With the Static Cup, we opened up to the international scene.
Right.
We took like one step further by organizing the Static Cup, and we wanted to really involve the international community as well, and to reach the international community as well, because we saw how it's growing in the past, and that it has mainly grown on social media. Through like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all of that. We see like these amazing videos on social, like really crazy stuff. So I think like you guys, we wanted to create like a physical space and many other people to bond, to exchange, to meet each other, and to create this space for calisthenics, athletes, spectators, organizers, brands, and the whole community that is involved.
Yeah, and you're doing great work. I mean, what I see in Belgium in the scene, it really is very good at collaborating together, and these kind of competitions are amazing. And that's exactly what we want to talk about in this podcast. We want to talk about how to grow the calisthenics sport, and this competition is a very good example of what you can do. So how do you look back at the competition when you are...
That's a very nice question. I look back at it with like two sorts of like glasses, I would say.
Yeah.
One good and one less good, in a sense that we are kind of perfectionist on that. So small thing that I forgot to mention is that for the Static Cup, Misha and I, that you will meet later on, we were like the one organizing this competition, and so this really helped us because him and I, we really have like this kind of vision of how to grow the calisthenics community, and so we are always striving to get better. You see, the competition, we received a lot of good feedback. A lot of from whether from athletes or from spectators, from partners. Really, like it was heartwarming. We also received lesser good feedback in a sense that, and it's normal, and this is why we want this kind of feedback, because people tend to think that if there is something that is wrong, or that we tell you, this can be better, it's not good, or it should be avoided. I think otherwise. I think that it's important that we know what went wrong so that we can improve. You see?
Learn from it.
Exactly, and this is the only way to grow the calisthenics sports.
Exactly.
And so this is why I look back at it with these two glasses. But I think that we can be proud of what we made, because in the beginning this was not the plan. You see?
Okay.
In the beginning, Misha, so everything started after that we organized the second edition of the Belgian National Championship back in August 2023, because this is what we also do in Belgium as Barbenders. We organize like the national championships. Really, like 1 day or 2 days after this, Misha calls me and he's like, "Man, do you want to organize a Static Cup with me?" And I'm like, "Bro, no break."
Exactly.
Like, okay, let's go. We do this.
Keep it going.
And he was, the thing is, this is what is really nice, because he came up with this idea by communicating with the athletes. So this is why we say that this cup was for the community, by the community, is because it was a way for us to say, we heard you, and we know that some people want just a static competition. They're not really interested in freestyle and that, or sets and reps. So this is where it started, and it started as a small project of like, just to have fun and create something, bring the Belgian community together. So we're aiming for like 20 athletes. And then so we started like working on it, and then we were like we saw that there was a demand also on an international level. And then we were like, okay, maybe we put a bit more athletes. And then, okay, why not go international? And then we opened it international. First we had like just one male category, and then we were like, okay, 2 male categories, and then we also have a female category. And so just like
growing.
It was insane how this competition grew. And it was because this brings me to the point that you wanted to tackle. It's collaboration. For me, this was really like, it's the golden rule in calisthenics now, because let's face it, there is not much money in the sports yet. It's coming. You see that it's coming in certain competitions, certain organizations, etc. It's coming, right? But it's not there as easy as in other sports. So this is what we try to focus on with the Static Cup, is to build relationships, to have partnerships and collaborations. And this is how we were able to deliver what we delivered, you see? Because it takes money and energy and time to put in place a competition and to bring all of these people together, the athletes, the judges, the whole venue. And it wasn't easy to convince these athletes to come also, because when it's the first competition, first edition, you know, it's not easy to create this trust that we are a trustworthy organization, and that this competition is gonna be nice, that you can come as an athlete and feel good, because this is also something that we noticed, that athletes in how we see things should really be like the center of attention in these
I
competitions,
agree.
because and we tried to make this competition for them before making it for anybody else.
Yeah.
Of course, it's for everyone, you see, but
Right.
we really tried to put our like a lot of energy in making this like the most pleasant experience, even from an athlete perspective, so that when you are there, you have everything to you have all the means that would help you give your best performance during the competition, you see. And so on this there is still room to improve, you see, and this is why we said that we're like keen on getting the feedback, and we received already quite a few feedbacks, quite a lot of feedbacks actually, about the things that can improve this.
All right.
See?
Yeah. What I heard is that you guys are, when you organize it, you're very complimentary as well, and that in these together you really put in everything, and that you were like living together basically.
Yeah.
So like this hard work and indeed working together with so many parties is so crucial, and you did such a great job at it. So
Thanks.
how did you had like 90 applications, right? Like 90 athletes. So you said it was difficult to convince people to come, but there's 90 people who were convinced. So how did you convince them? And
This was like the surprise for us, is that I think that Barbenders already is not super known internationally, let's face it, but I think that it's been 3 years that we are in the scene, 2 years that we're organizing the national championship. We've already been in contact with like international judges, so it gave us a bit of visibility, and the fact that we are professional in the way that we are working. We really want to professionalize the sports, and this is why we are trying to do everything by the book, by the rules, so that it's clear and concise to everyone. And also, Misha did a great job with everything related to like the Instagram, the socials. I helped also with the communication to create this safe space where to show that, okay, we have these sponsors that will be here. We're collaborating with this brand and this judge that will be coming. And I think that this gives a bit of trust when you know that you have top level athletes who are going to judge this competition, you see, because the judges is also something like important in these for the visibility. So I think that all of these things combined is what made people believe in this competition. We really tried our best to be transparent, to communicate early, to say, so that everybody is on the same page, you see.
Right.
And even though we did that, so for example, one of the things that we did is that it was already in September that we posted the rule book on the website.
Right.
And then, and even though with this, there were still some confusion regarding the judging system. And so it's just to show how hard it is.
Yeah, it is.
It's because I think that most people don't get the side from organizing view. You get it from when you're an athlete. Yeah, you're not satisfied with the rules or for this or that, and it's fine. You know, it's your right to object to it. But it's challenging. It's really challenging, and I think Misha will delve more deep into the subject, the whole judging system and how we did it. But so it's I would say that collaborating was really an essential played an essential role in creating this trustworthy environment for athletes, and that I think I don't have like the golden answer, but that's in my opinion what helped in getting more athletes register and more people come, because in the end we got 90 registrations, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
But also we had like 16 countries, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It was insane when we closed the registrations. Misha and we were like just going crazy with like,
Baffled,
what the hell is happening, you know?
Yeah, amazing. Super well done.
Of course, this is the hard part, is that you need to accept you can't make everybody happy.
Right.
You can't make everybody
This
happy.
is very difficult.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult, but it's the sad truth,
Yeah.
As much as we want to make everybody happy, you
can
can't.
try,
You
of
can
course,
try,
yeah.
but you can't. You see, but it's true that this is something that we also heard. Like
Yeah.
guys, you did like 48 athletes.
Yeah.
It's
It's
you
really
guys
a
are
lot.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
how did you do this
How did
in
you
one
manage?
day? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's,
And it's true. Then the budget is completely different to pay accommodation and flights for 48 people or for
Yeah,
8,
exactly,
for
yeah,
example.
that's
So it's true that this also plays a role.
Yeah. And that gets me to a topic like when it comes to finances in the scene anyway. For the future of calisthenics, of course, there needs to be money, for instance, to pay the athletes their trip and to put them in the future, maybe have 48 athletes compete, but to be able to
Yeah.
pay everything for them. And one thing that I think is very important to get towards that future is that we also make it very like make the sport something like a spectator sport, which it already is, but that
true.
There will be more people interested in watching calisthenics. And I think that's really what you also did in your competition a lot, because you focus so much on like it was, as you said before, it is was a show.
Yeah,
And
indeed.
everybody told you that. So can you reflect on that?
Yeah, of course. And for that, I really need to thank Misha on that, because he's the mastermind behind this whole show part.
Alright.
Of course, I was also like a fan of it, and I wanted to give this show, but it's true that he had like some good insights about this with the smoke machine and the lights and and he really had this vision of like the stage and how to put all the things, which I really suck at. So, but it's true that in the end, like it was a freaking show.
Yeah.
Even the athletes, you could feel that they were also part of the show.
yeah,
They
for
began.
sure.
Some
Yeah,
of them
showmanship.
less than others, but that's normal.
Yeah.
But some of them, they really played it. They
Yeah, for
they were
sure.
there. It was like a UFC game, and
Yeah.
people just screaming the whole day, and it was.
A lot of energy.
And it's true that it is a show sports. It took some time, I feel, to realize this. Because we do some impressive moves in calisthenics. It's not something that you see on a daily basis. And I think that you're not the first person who tells me that. I also had like discussions and conversations with other people involved in the calisthenics and community scene who also had the same reflection as you. And they were saying like, we really need to push this show part in calisthenics, and I think that this is what will help us get more subsidies and financial support and this kind of stuff, because today we can start looking at calisthenics not just as a sports but as an entertainment, and I think this is where we are going slowly, keeping the sports, of course, taking care of the athletes, of course, putting them in the center, of course, but also putting a bit more and more attention on this, like extravaganza kind of things where you're like, really like the vibe at the Static Cup.
Yeah.
I had like goosebumps, man, the whole day.
Yeah, me
We're
too,
seeing
me
all
too.
these people screaming and screaming and screaming. And for that also, we really need to thank like a huge thank you to Mehdi from Barbenders and Rico Barmeza, who did like an amazing job, man, for the MC, because we don't realize this, huh? We really don't realize, but being able to shout, I'm saying shout, not speak, because they were not speaking, they were shouting for like 10 hours straight. I mean, like,
How is it possible?
how is it possible?
Yeah, super nice.
And and this is also part of the show, because
True.
when you're on a day-long event, you get tired. Everybody get tired.
Yeah, that's true.
So how do you keep everybody in there? So you need someone who pulls you back in when you're like,
For sure. Like When you, for instance, talk about swap is of course like one of the biggest, right?
Yeah,
and
indeed.
like when you go there, I'm not sure if you've ever been.
Not yet.
I've been twice, and
Nice.
the atmosphere, it's like ridiculous. Probably 1/3 of the people in the audience can do full planche.
Yeah.
So like it's really quite niche, you know, like
Yeah.
all of the people who are there are athletes,
Yeah,
and they're
indeed.
like super good, and they're
true.
part of the teams and so on.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if we should also go into a space where people who, for instance, people watch skateboarding who are not skateboarding, you know, people watch that on TV, for instance.
Yeah.
And like, where do we go with that? And one thing as well which you did great, and you did that in collaboration with Never Offline, was the live stream as well.
Yeah.
So that is like the online aspect of it.
Yeah.
And maybe that can be also on TV.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
of
indeed.
course, it would be even better if like everybody comes to watch. But often this is difficult. Yeah, like some people don't.
Yeah, it's true that they did really like a fantastic job. Renaud, Fauzi,
Yeah.
Also Eneas from Barbenders, who
Yeah.
also was there,
Right.
and Christophe from Blast TV, who put all of the live stream together.
Yeah.
So this really gave us a whole other level to the competition. It's true. It's true that having this live stream there, I feel it elevated the competition, because so many people want to be here, but they can't.
Yeah.
They
right.
can't, and I am also one of them when it comes to SWAB, to
Yeah.
FIBO,
Right.
to all these big calisthenics competition where I would really like to go, but I just can't. You see,
Yeah.
and so this really helped us to open up even more to the international community,
Yeah.
and it would also give, to come back to what you were saying about opening it to like a more general public, and not just having calisthenics enthusiasts and athletes
Yeah.
who are like involved in these competitions, who would go and watch these competitions.
Of course, competition should be big, but not everybody will travel to Spain, you know, or so that's why I think it's so amazing how you did your live stream. But also I saw it in Sweden, so it's really now a standard,
Yeah,
as you put it
indeed.
as well. That you have a good live stream. And do you think there are other things we can do when it comes to the spectator sport to really make it also for the broader audience available?
I think that it will bring me back to collaboration, and this is also something that we try to push for, is choose your partners wisely, and in a sense that we tried to have, so we had like the sponsors in a way that would just like give us the stuff, and would be able to help us with the prizes and these kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we also aimed to have like more personal partnerships and relationships with certain brands. And for example, this is how we were able to put in place challenges with the SWA, for example. And these kind of stuff, they help this with this interaction, and that bringing people, it's more like, I don't know, there's more a feel to it than just being there and not being involved. But no, you are actively engaging with the public, and you're okay. We did like the planche, so it's maybe not accessible to everyone, but like the idea of that day was to have several challenges.
Yeah.
You see, there was challenges with also MX Sport, with SWO, with Vivo Barefoot.
It's fascinating where we're heading, and like it's really very well done what you did so far for the community. I'm very happy that
Thanks,
you
man.
did, and I want you to keep going with that. For the rest, we have a tradition in the podcast,
Okay.
which is in this box. It's the question that the former guest
Okay.
wrote down. So yeah, you can open it if you want, and you can ask the question. And actually, also the tradition is that I also have to answer the question.
Okay.
So let's see what it is. I don't know what it is. Exactly.
Mysterious.
So this was asked by Eunice, by the way, the German champion heavyweight, the Maltese,
Nice. Oof.
ridiculously strong athlete.
So, do you think there should be a standardized competition rules system for every calisthenics competition. Man,
Nice. You can actually
like
start this one, and then we'll talk more about it later with
with
Misha.
Misha, indeed.
Yeah, okay, so you can answer.
Yeah, it's part of the debate, huh? It's part of the debate, and I don't know if I have the answer. I don't know if we should or we shouldn't, but I think that we definitely should work together towards having something more not far from each other, you see. So even if it's not one strict rule for everybody, but that it's not very far neither, because now, it's everybody creates their own rules in a way, and this is what we're trying to also do, to have this harmony and to have more like a more logical way, I would say, you see, because if you do with rule A and he does with rule C, and then you see, this is, I think, what happened with the static competition in was it in
Burning
Italy,
Gate?
where Burning Gate, and with Ilias going like doing his act, is because some competitions is not very clear for the athletes, or it's very far from each other, and I think we should go towards a more harmonious rules system, even if it's not the same, you see. Maybe, but it's something that is, for me, this is the debate that we should have. In any case, this should really spark the debate about, let's sit together. What are your rules? What did you take into consideration doing this and that? And the most important is, it's very hard, but in my opinion, the most important is to have like objective rules, so that you will always have subjectivity.
Of course.
Okay, it's in any judging system. You will always have subjectivity, but your your rule book should help you lower the subjectivity to
the minimum.
To the minimum. You see, that's my opinion.
All right.
I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, so I think there can be indeed multiple rule books, like also with the different styles in calisthenics, of course, with like people getting more into static competitions and also having freestyle in general. And besides that, of course, endurance and strict form, like weighted calisthenics, street lifting.
So many.
Yeah, so like then you will have different rules for those, of course, but within certain systems, like for instance, World Calisthenics Organization, or WSF, like the World Federation as well. Like within that system, it should be fair, and it should be like a universal rule book, because otherwise you get people who want to compete in the World Championship or in any bigger competition, like a continental. And if then you come from a national championship and they had completely different rules, or like then it's gonna get difficult. Like
it's not fair, also, I think, because if you're used to, I don't know, in your country it's this rule, and then you go to the world and it's completely other rules.
Then you won this one, but you'll lose that one on completely different terms. So I think we should work towards that to professionalize the sport, and that can be in different ways. But in the end, I think we should definitely talk about it, and with judges, with athletes, and let's see. But we will get more into that in a bit with Misha.
Indeed.
So thank you very much for this conversation. I really enjoyed it, and
likewise,
it was a good question by Yunus, and it really is a good introduction.
Good finisher.
The next part of this podcast.
I want to thank you also, you and the team, because it's true that you're doing like the podcast, but you guys are really doing an amazing job. Really like an amazing job with the growth of calisthenics, and the few people are doing what you guys are doing. And I think that a lot of people are not aware of the effort and time and work that you guys are putting for calisthenics. So big shout out to them, Calisthenics Worldwide. Really,
Thank you very much.
thank
man.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.
So today's episode is a very special episode because we don't only have one guest, but we have two guests. Not only Ali, but we also have Misha from Barbenders. With him, we will more specifically talk about the judging and also about weight classes, a very important topic right now. So let's get into it. So tell us a bit about yourself first.
So I'm Michael from Belgium, and I'm a full-time personal trainer. And next to this, I work for Barbenders, and I mainly organize the competitions, all the competitions with Barbenders. I do a little bit of the social media and a whole lot of other stuff within the VZW.
Right.
Yeah, so we organize the Belgian national competition every year, and next to that, I organize some small competitions, sets and reps. It's more just for the fun.
So this was your first static competition.
Yes, yeah, and I'm really happy that I've chosen for statics. So for me, I really love the statics. I think it's something underrated also. And I just didn't understand that there weren't many other static competitions.
Right.
And there is so much ask for it. And like after last year's Belgian national competition, I was talking to a lot of friends, athletes, and yeah, a lot of them do only statics. And they were saying like, yeah, man, I really want to join the Belgian nationals, but I know I don't make much chance because I specialize in statics.
Right.
And then I was like, yeah, man, you're totally right. Aesthetics so cool. Why wouldn't there be a competition? And I had so much energy after the Belgian nationals because it went so great. And like, yeah, man, for me, every time after a competition, I'm dead the day itself. But I start thinking. And I think like, man, it needs to get bigger. I want to do more stuff. And I'm thinking about how to find time for all this stuff above my full-time job, you know.
Right.
And yeah, I just do it. I'm like someone that loves jumping and do it big and just doing it.
Right.
And therefore, I'm also very happy for Ali that he always wants to follow me in these crazy adventures because... Yeah, sometimes he needs to hold me back a little bit, otherwise that would be too much stuff.
You're almost too ambitious.
Yeah.
But
There is so much to do in the calisthenics scene. It's insane. Everything you do, you can be like the first one to do it in your country, or like there's so much growth in it, and everything you do, it's better for the community.
And so much potential as well. It's ridiculous. All right, so we want to get a little bit into the judging and also the rules. So now specifically for statics first, but later we will also talk about freestyle a bit.
Yes.
So how did you create your rule book for this competition?
So the competition, like one of our main slogans is like for the community, by the community.
Right.
So I'm really not a professional athlete. I practice calisthenics and I organize the competition. So everything I do is just from my point of view.
Right.
And but I think it's very important to be professional, of course, and that we make everyone happy with the rules.
Yeah.
So I started talking with Elias from 9000 Bars. And he gave me a lot of ideas about the judge book and how the system would work, like how many judges we would take and how to divide it. And then at the end, I chose to use like a push-pull and combo system. So 3 judges, 1 push, 1 pull, and 1 combo.
Right.
And we just made a rule book around that. And I asked to a lot of other athletes, Belgian athletes in the beginning.
Right.
What they thought about the rule book, and a lot of people checked it and gave their advice. Man, the feedback, it can always be, the more feedback I get, the more happier I am. And then, after in the organization of the Static Cup, we got our main judges, and they checked also the rule book. They added some stuff, and we also needed to see like if we would work with points or hand raises, if you understand what I mean. And for the most part, we use it hand raises.
Right.
I'm still contemplating if that was the good choice. It is an easier choice in any case. Yeah, for now, because you don't have like to make like a point system, like a very in-depth point system. But next year, I know I want to work with points because we really need to, be able to tell like to the athletes after their performance, like, okay, you got these points because of this. You know, we really need to be able to show why they got these points and stuff like that.
Understandable.
So that's why we worked with.
It's very nice how you collaborate and how you include all of these athletes. Like Elias is a great athlete, so it's very nice that he wants to help you guys and also all the other athletes that gave their feedback. Yeah, and with this, like with the point system, it's a very good question. And of course, in other sports, like for instance gymnastics, they have point systems, but with freestyle, it's very hard because they're not set, combos, and also with statics is easier compared to freestyle. If you would do it freestyle, it would be even more difficult to do. And with the hand raises, of course, it is still a judging system, so I understand that would be maybe your first option. So it's a very interesting question, which one would be the best. So how do you see that for the next one with the points? How are you going to do that?
So in this, I'm now in contact with Inno Sports Lab. I think it's something we will talk about later. And we are creating the first like judging app.
All right.
I cannot tell too much about it because it's really at the beginning phase. I already saw the app and how it's used, and I think it's very nice. It has a lot of potential. Right now I'm creating a crew. Youssef Moro, normally he's going to join. He's in the crew, and we'll test it. And we will test it on the Belgian nationals. Hopefully, if it's already done by then, or like in its prototype state. And it's like a system that would really make it very easy to judge, automatically give points in an Excel. So like it should be.
And this
fast.
is for statics, or is it also for?
It can be used for everything.
Wow.
Yeah. And statics, like you said, is easier than all the dynamic stuff. But I'm really hoping it's done for next year. If it's done, man, this is really going to be a game changer, and I think it could be something that can be used on every level, on every competition.
Great.
Yeah.
And now you talked about Inno Sports Lab, right? And this goes to Vplay. So this was the system that you now used, which was very interesting. Can you tell a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we used for the first time Vplay. A lot of people will say it's like a VAR system, like they use in football, for example. And right now it is. So every battle is getting filmed. The judges, they get a tablet or like a big screen, a touch screen, in which they can replay every battle or every performance, and in slow-mo, they can look back at certain like parts of the battle and really replay. Use it as a replay. And I think for the statics it's nice to use, but for freestyle it will be even better because everything goes so fast, quick, man. You can quickly forget that he did like this move and forget to give him points on it, for example.
And what I also really liked is that they combined it with the screens, right? So you had different screens, and so that the audience could also see it. And in this case, we talked about with Ali, with the audience aspect of it. If you can really just look back at it, and also to understand what's going on, because if you see live that the judge is checking a specific thing, you can watch along and see what he's checking. Oh, this must be important, and like that makes the difference. So this is also for audience super important.
That's what we also want to create with the new judging system, is that for the audience it's clear. Okay, they will be judged for this and that, and they can replay, and it's just clear. They understand what they are being judged, what the athletes are being judged on. Because this is also a feedback we got from the audience, because I was very happy. A lot of my clients came, just also random children and stuff. They saw like the affiches in like the circus school, for example.
All right.
And I was talking to like a parent, and he said like, yeah, I'm here because my child saw the poster and he really wanted to come and look.
Amazing.
And I'm like, man, nice. So
That's
nice.
super good.
But yeah, they didn't always understand the moves, and like a planche, for example, people don't know how hard it is. And we already talked about it.
Yeah,
and
that part is very interesting that you say this, because like of the circus school, like all of these kind of like gymnasts or maybe even breakdancers, free runners, parkour athletes, like all of these urban sports basically, like if you get those also to come to these events, and if you make it even clear for them, but also maybe even for the parents, for instance, then it becomes really a sport that has a lot of more potential. So that's really great.
For sure.
And so like when it comes to the bigger view of the sports, right? Now we're talking about statics, so we can stay with that a little bit more. But worldwide, of course, you have bigger static cups, and around the world they're organizing more local ones. But the bigger ones, Burning Gate, for instance, or you have now ISO that's coming this year, which will be an online competition. There they will have like a week of tests for athletes who are competing specifically for front and for push. So like there are, I think, 7 athletes or 9 per category, right? And then that's a completely different way of doing statics. And how do you see that in the future? Like
right now, ISO, for example, I really love the whole system, the idea about it. And it's like something completely new, doesn't exist yet. And man, I love it.
Me too.
And I'm quite sure this should be judged differently than what the Static Cup, for example, it's all about. The Static Cup, it's about who is the strongest complete static athlete.
Exactly.
It's not like who is the strongest push athlete. No, you need to be good in your pull, your push, and your combos.
Yeah, and when it comes to freestyle as well, like also there worldwide, you see the structure appearing, right? On our website, we have now an overview, and this is one more point that I want to make for also the audience, is that sometimes it's unclear like how the calisthenics world is structured, right? So on our website now we have for this year a list of like 23 is gonna be like competitions, which a lot of athletes that I know, they don't even know those competitions, right? And I think that structure is also really important, and the visibility of it, so how it's communicated. And what you see when it comes to the world federations, right? You have like SWAP is becoming one of the biggest, and then there are a lot of qualifiers, and like we can maybe stick with statics, but for instance, maybe it can be that people who come to the Barbenders Static Cup who win there will go to like a world championship of statics.
Yeah, man. Right now, the world championship doesn't really exist, as far as I know. So I think there's a spot for us to fill in.
Burning Gate was I guess like
I know, but a lot of shit happened there.
There's controversy around it. And that's the difficult thing. But you see that also with freestyle, that you have new world organization popping up, and they are maybe going to do it different than the former ones, or maybe they are like going to have a little bit of different rule sets. But as said before, I think within a specific environment, there needs to be the same rules. And then, for instance, with this Vplay and with the app, I can see that happen much more structured.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the thing is, if you really want to have this structure, we need people firstly like you to make like a website at least to see like a structure, and we need like one clear federation.
Right.
And don't want to go too deep in it, but like if you really want like a standardized sport, there needs to be one federation who can like say these are the rules, this is the judging system, this is what we have to work with. But that's a whole debate. Like calisthenics, it's a street sport, yeah, and there are people that really want to. We all agree that it needs to be professionalized, but if you, for example, wanted to go to the Olympics, and we need to go very, very close to like the gymnastic judging system.
Right.
I think, but because
Depends.
Olympics, if you want to be in the Olympics, it's very important to have like one fixed system that is as objective as possible.
That is difficult with the street.
So yeah, and I see already a few problems there.
Do you think that should be the goal, to go to the Olympics, for instance?
I know for when I joined Barbenders, it was one of our goals.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people
For me, I just go with the flow. I will be flexible. Also, in which federation will choose a judging system and stuff. But like I think when with Sports Lab and when the app is done, this will set a new standard.
Right. And I mean, I think that there can be one, of course.
Yeah.
And of course, there are parties trying that. I mean, Swap is actually like one of the biggest. And then you have also different concepts going on at the same time, and I think that can live together like separately. That's
for sure.
Fine. Maybe some athletes will choose one and then some the others, and there can be some competition there. Same with competitions in general. Like as you said, or as Ali said before, like there were you have to fight for like convincing athletes to come to your competition. And in general, athletes are becoming smarter and choosing very wisely about which comps am I going to and how many.
And I like that, man. People, it's always the most popular one, the best one will always win. People will automatically be attracted to the best system, and I like that there are different systems. I like it so much because you have to train totally different for one competition or for the other, even if it's both freestyle or statics. Your approach to how you train and how you will. Prepare your performance. It all depends on the judging book and the judging system that will be used.
But
and I think that's nice.
It should be clear, of course, though, within a specific part, and also these different categories is fine. When it comes to different categories, actually, there's one big topic right now, which I think is one of the most important next steps, which is weight classes.
Yeah.
And in that sense, of course, you have the different categories on, intermediate and advanced, and sometimes even an extra one, or like you have male and female comps, of course. But then, weight classes is really the next step.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
I share your opinion. Weight classes, that's something that will also come automatically once the sport professionalize more and there are more athletes also joining.
Right.
Because if we wouldn't do that, at the end of the day, you'll have like the classic body type that will always win the competition. And it's like the more skinnier, very tight muscle body type. And I think it's nice to have like more variation, and I think for that only, it's already nice to work with weight classes. From an organizing standpoint, it should be very interesting for me also, because if we work with weight classes and I want a competition with a lot of athletes, I know it will not fit in one day.
Exactly. Yeah,
I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And it will, like, I will have to look in a whole other way to my organization of the competition.
That's why I think this is a very important conversation.
But I think it's nice, and man, I really love like heavyweight calisthenics. Man, when they're performing, it has another vibe. It's insane. For me, I don't know. I like it so much.
So where would you start? Would you, for instance, say, okay, 70 plus or 80 plus? Or where do you?
I thought about this, and there are so many different options. You can also look to other sports, like in boxing, for example, and you can copy this a little bit, but it all depends on how many athletes. I'm really looking from an organizing standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
How many athletes are signed in? Like, we got a lot of registrations for the Static Cup. But if I wanted to work with weight classes right now, with 3 different weight classes, for example, there wouldn't be such a nice show, because the level will be a bit lower also, because like we did the selections and only the strongest athletes could be it would be totally different. So right now I'm quite sure it wouldn't work for my competition. Maybe for SWEP, I don't know how many registrations they get. I imagine it's a lot more. But yeah, in the future, man, for sure we have to work with that. And I really cannot. I didn't think enough about it to say like, okay, we should like do minus 75 kilos plus 75 and plus 80 or something.
This should be based on data, right? So like when you, for instance, have the data about these 90 athletes, and maybe you can add from other competitions that you organize some others, and you can say, okay, there needs to be a database. And then in the end, when you say, okay, 50% of, and you said 3 weight classes, but maybe to start off, you can start with 2, right?
Yeah, but then I see a problem, because you only have like one line.
Yeah,
and everyone will be around that one line.
Could
see,
yeah.
And then also, I'm a personal trainer. I care about health and stuff.
Yeah.
People I see in boxing do so much stuff that is so unhealthy just to get into that weight class.
Right.
And if there is just one weight class, it's divided in 2, and you will see everyone trying to reach that one. That one threshold.
I'm usually around like 70 something, and then I mean, for me, it would not be that unhealthy to go to whatever 69
for sure.
something. Right? So I mean, there it becomes maybe but if someone wants to go from whatever 80 to all of a sudden minus 70, of course there's a bigger line. But I mean, there needs to be a starting point, and that's where I want to get with you. That maybe 2 weight classes would be fine, but. Then, indeed, what you said about the other days, you might have to do 2 days, or you do separate competitions for different weight classes or for different levels. So you might have a competition that's, for instance, intermediate, but then you have several weight classes on one day. But then maybe another competition, you do high-level athletes and also several weight classes. Or you can also go to less athletes per weight class, like for instance SVA has, right? They have 8 athletes, and then you have 8 and then you have like the finals, and also maybe the place for the third place. Then you have a battle. Those are less battles per category, but then you can have. But still, if you calculate and you want to fit that in one day, it again becomes, if you have female, 2 levels, 2 like sexes, and also the 2 weight categories. Already you're at maybe full capacity of a day.
Yeah, man. Because right now I'm already happy that we could like split in intermediate and advanced, because it gives also a chance to like beginners or like beginners. You know what I mean?
I get your point.
To join the competition.
There's this part where people are basically or high intermediate or low advanced, and they're basically the same level, and that's why maybe it's a good idea to have. Still to keep it available for beginners, as you put it, but like you know, maybe beginning competition, like athletes who want to do competitions, then for them maybe a separate organization would be better, like to have a beginner competition, but then you have weight classes, because I really think that's. We post a lot of competition videos, and with those you often get comments where so basically our followers are all about this topic, like that is the main thing. And then people are talking about specific athletes, like that one should have won, but actually it's just because it's unfair in the first place. And then what you sometimes people talk to me about whether there's enough athletes in a certain weight category, and I mean, when you talk about heavyweight athletes like Imhouse, for instance, right? Yeah. If you say, okay, who could battle him? There's a bunch of people that come to mind. But besides that, like, if you say, okay, instead of whatever 80 plus, you do 75 plus, and all of a sudden that weight class becomes much bigger.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you have very good.
Like you said, there first needs to be done some research. I mean, like see how many high-level athletes are in which category of weight.
Yeah, right.
And then I really want to look in it and make a, because I'm totally with you. Weight class needs to be there. It's just not fair right now.
Yeah. And I mean, now we're maybe talking a lot about statics, but I think the same counts for freestyle.
Man, it's a bodyweight sport, so
Exactly.
it's already in the name, bodyweight.
Very interesting. So what in your opinion is the next step for growing the sport?
For growing the sport, I think really the working together with different countries right now. I am looking from the standpoint of Barbenders.
Yeah.
Is really the next step. And also, what is very important is to make like the step into calisthenics for beginners, total beginners, the most important thing. Because that's what we are focusing also on with Barbenders, because we didn't touch it because it's more about the competition. But like you have the athletes, you have the pro athletes. Pro athletes, it's maybe 5%. Then you have athletes that are like really guys that are into the sports but don't want to compete. That's like 10%. But then you have like 90%. It's just people that are trying their first muscle up, doing pull-ups, doing some dips, and figuring their way into this jungle of calisthenics. And that's what we also really try to approach here, like the Gen-Pub, the general public. We want to we want firstly that everyone knows what calisthenics is, because right now, as a coach, I coach like just normal people, not only calisthenics athletes, and they ask me, what sport do you do? I say I do calisthenics, and I always see them looking like, what are you saying? What is that? And I explain, I show some videos, and I've seen this somewhere, but that's the first goal, that everyone knows what the sport is with Barbenders. And then also we want to educate people into like knowing, okay, you can go this road, you can go the weighted calisthenics, you can start with sets and reps. And if you want, skills are always there for you also to learn. And because that's also a thing with social media. You see like people popping planches, doing crazy front lever shit, and moves that are like so incredibly sick if you look at it. People think that's calisthenics, but calisthenics way more than that, and it's also way easier to start with than you would think.
That's definitely true. And so, good point for growing sport.
We give like group sessions in Mattelaer with like all like beginner people that like the sports. We recently started like online coaching with like we opened our baseline package, and that's really just getting people into the sports in a hybrid fashion. So we use a little bit of weights because it's just nice to combine it.
Yeah, for sure.
And man, that's what we try to do to bigger the sports right now. And I think that's also something that we cannot forget for everyone in every country. Like, try to get as much people in the sports. It will only benefit you.
For sure.
That's really our way of thinking, and our way to bigger the sports, also get more money into the sports, because man, we always forget the general public. Certainly now with social media, we see insane stuff, and this is not normal, you see.
But good point. And I mean, for me, the goal there is to have calisthenics indeed be available for everyone, and then and the whole goal of calisthenics is, of course, to inspire people to move more, and athletes will do that, and of course, people who are looking up to them can work up to that point, and the whole road should be clear, and it should be very professional, organized, and structured. But it's also to just grow the sport on all levels, basically.
Yeah, exactly. We can really not forget the general public. That's something to keep in mind. Yeah.
For the rest, the next part is where you get to write down a question for our next guest.
Okay.
So let's get to that. And for the rest, I want to thank you.
Thanks, man. It was a pleasure.
It was.
And for the viewers, please comment. What do you think about the weight classes? Do you think there should be? how many weight classes and how would you divide it? So I think that's an interesting question to the public.
Yeah,
Huh?
very much so.
I like the public opinion, so let's go.
That's very important. Let's do it together.
Yes.
All right, so we want to thank Misha and also Ali for coming, and we want to invite you, as he already invited you, to comment and get involved. And for the rest, we want to thank you for watching. We hope you gave you a lot of value with this episode. So see you in the next one.